Speaking from my experience, many organizations' influence does not begin with strategy. It begins with the financial reporting clarity. Because the way I see it, the reality is, however, how compelling your mission is, no matter how brilliant your programs are, if leadership cannot clearly see the financial story, they cannot lead decisively. And we know when executives hesitate to make decisions, organizations stall. So today, I want to challenge how we think about financial reports, how to use them as compliance tools, because we have historically used financial reports just as compliance tools. So I want to challenge us how we think today about these financial reports, how not to see them just as compliance tools, how not to see them just as accounting outputs, but how we can use them as instruments of executive power, trust, and organizational momentum. When reporting is unclear, leadership conversations become reactive. So we find that boards focus more on symptoms instead of strategy. Donors ask follow-up questions that should never have been necessary. And also the executives spend more time defending numbers than advancing the impact, which is their core mission. But when reporting is clear, decisions definitely move faster. Accountability is strengthened and leadership learns credibility without a word. They just earn it without having to say a word. So clarity definitely changes the quality of the executive dialogue. Not because leaders suddenly understand accounting, we don't expect them to do, but because the reporting finally speaks their language. And this is, I believe, where the executive influence quietly begins. So let me ground this conversation in experience. I have spent almost 2 decades working with nonprofit financial leadership and reporting across local and international organizations, supporting complex multi-country operations, matrix reporting environment, restricted and unrestricted funding structures, and high-stake donor and also board accountability. And over the years, I have worked with executive teams who are deeply committed to impact and their missions, but they were constrained by the report they couldn't confidently use. And through this, I have learned that financial reporting problems are rarely technical because I have worked with technical finance team. I am technical myself, but the reporting problems that we experience in such circumstances are rarely technical. They are leadership problems in disguise. And why do I say so? I say so because unclear reporting doesn't always show up in a crisis moment. More often, it shows up as board meetings that run out of time, strategy conversations that are that go out and are put out and until maybe we get better numbers. So we find that program expansions are delayed due to financial uncertainties, and donor trust definitely slows down. There's that erosion that happens because of the repeated clarifications that they're always coming back for. And to me, the most dangerous cost of this unclear reporting is that at some point executives will stop asking the bold questions because they don't trust the answers they will receive. And by this, you get that you establish that it is not a finance issue when we get to this point, but it is just an influence and lack of it for that matter. So, what do I see when I say reporting clarity? What does reporting clarity actually mean? So, looking at all this, it's clear that reporting clarity is not more reports or thickened board packs or even drowning leadership in financial detail. Reporting clarity here means that the executive can immediately see what matters, that the variance tells the story and not just the difference between numbers, that financial data aligns with strategic priorities, and leadership understand risk early and not thereafter. As I have always said, when reporting is clear, finance stops being a gatekeeper and becomes a strategic interpreter. And that's definitely where influence will shift. So, therefore, it's important to note that whoever controls clarity is the person that actually controls the conversations. So, when finance delivers reports that are timely, relevant, and intelligible, like they're intelligent, they shape what leadership focuses on. They frame the narrative and they influence decisions before a single word is spoken. This is why strong chief finance officers don't just produce reports, they design insight, and when executives trust the numbers, they also definitely trust the person behind them. And even after knowing all this, why do I see most organizations struggling? So, even after knowing all this, I think most organizations struggle because their reporting was never intentionally designed for leadership use. So you find that reporting has traditionally evolved around audit requirements, donor templates, legacy systems, and even historical habits, and not at any one point around executive decision making. So when leadership outgrows the reporting model, confusion starts to set in quietly, persistently, and expensively. And this is something I have seen how this lack of clarity around executive reporting leads to maybe hiring more people thinking that it's a people problem, shifting roles around thinking that it's a role problem, while in the sense, this is just a reporting clarity problem. And this exact gap is why I went ahead and created the reporting clarity framework. This is a structured approach designed to help nonprofits identify what's blocking clean, decision ready reporting, understand why reports keep arriving late or unclear, and align financial reporting with strategic and executive needs. And finally, it will help to create a simple, prioritized pathway to reporting clarity. So this framework is now available as a training course, but specifically for organizations, nonprofit leaders, finance teams, and executives who want reporting clarity to actually work for them. So, if there is one thing I want you to take away from this conversation, it's that executive influence does not begin at the board table. It begins with the reports that arrive before the meeting. When reporting is clear, leadership is confident, and when leadership is confident, organizations move forward. And when organizations move forward, impact definitely close. So if you are a nonprofit leader, board member, or a finance professional and you felt that your reports should be more useful than they are, that's actually not a failure, but it's a signal, and clarity is definitely buildable. I will also be running free webinars every other Wednesday on the reporting clarity framework. So if interested, you can register using the link in the comment section below, and we'll be able to build this clarity together in the entire industry. Thank you very much for spending these few minutes with me. So because this is actually where the executive influence begins.